StrayAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is the most important time for a thought leader's business. So this is specifically targeted to those in the thought leadership space. We're going to talk about the most important space in your business. We'll get to that momentarily. First, let me remind you all, I have a text message line now where you can text me and you can ask me questions. You can share your challenges and get a response from me because I do read and reply to messages. Also, I send out intermittently a message that is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. As of this recording, I haven't decided exactly what the frequency is going to be of that yet, but there will be a decided frequency at some point because I'm big on consistency. So whatever I end up doing, it will be consistent. We just haven't decided as of this recording, but by the time you hear this, you probably figured it out already. So you should text me if you haven't already at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every day or not every day, but every time that message comes out, I'm so used to saying every day, but every time that message comes out, you'll be getting it, whatever it happens to be. And again, it's just a text message line. So whenever the message comes, it comes. So text me at my number. It's down below in the description. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where I do all my coaching. That's where all my high-level trainings, frameworks, and courses are at. That is where the main focus of the Work on Your Game business is in Work on Your Game University. That is our core offering. So anybody want to know, Dre, do you do anything else besides this podcast and text messages that you send now intermittently and all the other stuff? Answer is yes. And the main thing we do here is Work on Your Game University. So if you have not checked out the university yet, do more than check it out. You need to actually join the university, but you can start by checking it out by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Link is down below in the description. So with that said, let's get into this topic. The most important time for a thought leader's business. Again, this is directed specifically at those in the thought leadership space where you are selling intellectual property. These are, for those of you who are not familiar with these terms, that means if you are a coach, a consultant, an author, a speaker, anyone in that space whose main value proposition is you are selling knowledge, insight, and experience. You're not selling actually a physical good. You may create physical goods like booklets and books and I don't know, anything else physical you can come up with, t-shirts, hats, merchandise. But the main thing that you're selling is your knowledge, insight, and experience. That's, again, intellectual property, where what people are paying for is not some physical thing that they hold in their hand, but their access to your brain. That's what they're paying for. So if you're in that space, today I'm telling you the most important time for your business. Number one, topic again, most important time for a thought leader's business. First point, the most important time is when you are giving value and selling nothing. Yes, giving value and selling nothing. For example, right now, as you're listening to this, I'm giving value and I'm not selling you anything. I'm not charging you to listen to this. I could charge you to listen to this. I'm not going to charge you to listen to it, at least not today. Giving value and selling nothing. This is the period that I lived in for the first 4 to 5 years that I was online, or I was sharing just basketball game with an audience of basketball players who were looking to learn how to get better at basketball. That's who my audience was. Players who just want to get better at basketball. They didn't know how to get better. They didn't have anybody to teach them. They ended up finding their way onto the internet. There was a new website called YouTube that let anybody put anything, as much content as they wanted, up as they wish, completely for free. Still exists to this day, from what I hear. And this is where I started to build my audience. The first 4 to 5 years, I had nothing to sell, let alone was I trying to sell it. I didn't have anything to sell. I had no courses. I did not even have an email list at the time. But what I did have was a strong base for my audience that I built over that 4 to 5 year period. And these are people who would stay with me for many years, even once I did get into doing actual business through my audience. There are some people listening to this show to this day who are following my material back then. This is pre-2010. And I didn't even have anything to sell, let alone was I selling it. And this period was very important because, amongst other things, my word of mouth reach during that period of time expanded greatly. And that was probably the fastest expansion of my audience ever, was during that period. And there were no ads. I wasn't running any ads. I did not have a marketing budget. I did not have a marketing strategy. All I did was just put out content that a specific audience wanted and needed and got value from every single day for 5 years. And my audience was growing because of word of mouth. People who were watching told their friends, they told their friends, and that's how it grew. Much of my audience grew simply, again, because people found me randomly and told somebody else. That's how my name got bigger. Now, I want that point to sink in really deeply with those of you who are out there, because there are a lot of people putting content out there these days. And in the thought leadership space, everybody creates content. Everybody has some kind of free offer. People are doing all kinds of challenges and webinars, and damn, everybody has a podcast, and everybody's got a book or they're writing a book, and everybody wants to do a TED talk, and everybody is doing a whole lot of similar things. And I'm not telling you not to do them, because everything I just mentioned, I do. All right, so I'm not telling you that don't do those things. What I am telling you, though, is that you need to find your niche. You need to get in where you fit in, where you can give people an immense amount of value in one way, and do it so consistently that they start to depend on you to deliver in that way. Whatever that thing is going to be for you, that you can sustain, whatever it's going to be. For me, the most important one is this very show that you're listening to right now, specifically the audio version. The audio version of the Work on Your Game Masterclass is my number one content delivery method. If the government came out and said, all right, everybody who creates content, you can only put it out one way, one medium, and one platform, and you got to stick to that one. You can't do anything else. And well, people want anarchy, first of all, but let's just say that was a rule that really happened in fantasy land. I would stick to the audio version of this podcast. That's what I would stick to. Why? Because this is where my best audience members come from. It's where I get to share my thoughts in enough context that it can get through to people in the way they need it to be gotten through to them. And those two reasons alone, that's good enough. That's it. Those are good enough reasons. And many of my best clients who have come through Work on Your Game University are people who found me and were incubated through listening to this show. Meaning they might listen to the show for some time before they actually make themselves known. But this is where they're finding me. This is how they're coming to know me and get a good feel for me, and then they take the next step. And this is also probably, of all the content that I put out, the best way to really get a feel for the type of person I am is listen to the show on a regular basis. Point number 2, today's topic, once again, is the most important time in a thought leader's business. Number 2, this is where, during this period where you're putting out stuff that costs nothing and you're just giving people value, this is where you build the 3-legged stool that makes selling easy. And that 3-legged stool is known as know, like, and trust. You get people to know you, to like you, and to trust you by giving them value that you are asking them for nothing in exchange, and you are doing it consistently. That's how they can get to know you. If you listen to this show every day for a month, you will feel like you know me. And you should feel like you know me, because this is unfiltered. This is, for the most part, I do have my audio guy, Nico, working on the show, but for the most part, his job is relatively easy. All right, I do these in one take. He doesn't have to, there's no cutting and pasting when he edits these shows. I mean, he edits the sound levels and all of that. I'm not discounting his work, but his job is pretty easy. All right, I don't make him have to do too much with editing of the show. You get a pretty good feel for who I am and what I'm about. You listen to enough episodes of the show, even though I'm talking about different topics every single day. Now, if we are on the same page, that means me and you, the listener, and we're aligned in terms of what I'm talking about, why I'm saying it. Even if you weren't already thinking about these things before I said it, but when you hear them, you're like, damn, that makes sense. Damn, I get that. Damn, he's right. Damn, you know what? That logically is a good point. Damn, he's keeping it real right there. But you know what? I was thinking about that, but I'm glad he said it that way, because I wouldn't have said it that way, but I agree with what he said. That's going to build the like factor. The like factor is you and I are simply aligned, and what I'm talking about aligns with your worldview. If what I talk about here on the show does not align with your worldview, you probably won't be around here too long. If you're a big fan of DEI, like the bureaucratic government level of DEI, you probably won't be around here too long. If you are a believer in transgenderism, the fact that a person can be born with a penis and decide that they're a woman, or a person can be born with a vagina and decide that they're a man, you probably ain't going to be around here too long. If you believe that there is some type of systemic issue that causes people to fail their entire lives, and there's nothing that they can do to get out of that circumstance, and pulling themselves up with a bootstrap is a failing piece of advice, and that people cannot work their way out of a challenging situation to put themselves in a better situation. If you believe that, you ain't going to be around here too long because I don't agree with any of those things. And if you don't like it, that's completely fine. You should leave, because every time somebody like you leaves, you create space for somebody who thinks the opposite of you to come in. All right, so I'm building a like factor with people who actually see things the way that I see them, again, even though they may not say them the way that I say them. So that's the like factor. And the third part is the trust part. And trust is usually built over time through someone knowing that you are consistent, knowing that you are who you say you are, that you deliver on what your promises are. If my promise is I'm going to put the show out every day, and it comes out every day, then you can come to trust that. All right, this guy is consistent. He comes out every day. He talks about things that I agree with. I feel like I know him. I think he and I are on the same page. Let me take a look at that Work on Your Game University that he keeps talking about now that I've heard him say it every day for 6 months. All right, that's how it moves. That's how it works, folks. This know, like, trust factor makes selling easy, because by the time someone comes into your world, they've been consuming your material consistently, they feel like they know you, they like you because they are aligned with you, they're aligned with you ideologically, and they trust you because you've been consistent. By the time they go look at the thing that you have to sell, you've broken down most of the most important barriers to make a sale. See, the most important barrier to make a sale is not the value or efficacy of your product or service. The most important barrier to making a sale is, do I trust this person? Do I know who the hell they are? And do I believe they will actually do what they say they do? You notice how your content solves all three of those problems? Let me say it again. Do I know who this person is? Do I feel like my thought process and their thought processes align? And do I believe they're going to do what they say they're going to do? Your content consistently, if it's giving value and you're consistent and it's good in the eyes of the recipient, you've already answered all three of those questions. So the only real question left when someone comes to look at whatever it is that you are actually selling, whether you're selling it for $4.99, like my first products that I put out, or you're selling high ticket 5-figure offerings, as I do to this day, the only question is, hey, can I afford to pay for this? That's the only thing you really should be dealing with when you're talking to people. Can I afford to pay for this? That's really the only question I want to be answering when I'm talking to somebody these days. Can I afford to pay for this? It's not a question of, you're not questioning me. You're not questioning whether you think I can help you, and you're not questioning whether you believe me. You already know those things, because this material is solving it's answering those questions for you every single day. You, thought leader, your material, your free stuff needs to do the same thing that I'm telling you my free stuff does. And you listen to my stuff, you listen to the show on a regular basis, am I lying? Am I answering those three questions for you every single day? I know who this guy is, I like what he talks about, and I trust him. Hey, those questions are answered. The only question left is, can I pay for it? That's it. That's the only question. This makes selling easy, folks. People come in already predisposed, ready. They're ready to go. There's only one question to answer. Can I pay for it? And my first product that I ever put out, again, I told you, I said $4.99. I'm not joking. That was actually my first product. It was $4.99. I had 2 programs: simple to advanced ball handling for dribbling the basketball, and shooting for shooting the basketball. They were $4.99 each. And that's not $499. It's $4.99. When I put that first product out, I made a video on YouTube. That video is still out to this day. You look it up on YouTube. It's called Introducing Hoop Handbook. That's the name of the website, hoophandbook.com. Still exists to this day. Those 2 programs still exist to this day. We raised the price a little bit. The programs are still there. And I put that video out, and I just announced to my basketball audience, hey, I got this new program. It's called Hoop Handbook, and it's training programs for ball players, because all y'all are always asking me, can I make a program for you? Well, here it is. Here's the program. You go buy it at this website. When I put that first product out, it started selling immediately. That day, I started making sales immediately. There were no ads. There was no marketing campaign. And this product did not sell because the product was amazing. I mean, the product was amazing. It still is amazing to this very day. We have not changed it much from what it originally was. But the reason that the product sold is not because the product was so great. I made an episode talking about this in the past. Your stuff is not what makes things sell. How great your book is not the reason that your book sells. How great your coaching skills are is not the reason people buy coaching from you. How great your program or course is not the reason people sign up for your course. People signed up because the know, like, trust factor was already there, and I'd already put in so much work to build that know, like, and trust that it was only a matter of, can I pay for it? And at $4.99, the answer for most of my audience was yes. And that's why they started selling immediately. Everybody get it? I had already built that strong 3-legged stool over the course of several years, not weeks, not hours, years. Now, this is not to say, let me be clear, disclaimer. This is not to say that you need to put out content for free for 5 years before you sell anything. All right. There are people out there who I bought from who I just heard of them 3 days ago, and I bought from them within 72 hours. It's just that no like trust factor. You have to figure out a way to build that as quickly as possible. You can build no like trust by, first of all, being natural in your presentation. However you put yourself out there, be who you say you are. Another way is you can connect with people who already have that no like trust factor with the people you're trying to target. In other words, if Mike over here has a strong relationship with an audience of 10,000 people who've never heard of Dre Baldwin, but I build a relationship with Mike and get Mike to introduce me to his 10,000 people, now a little bit of that knowing factor rubs off on me because they already know Mike. And Mike said, Dre's my guy. You should trust Dre. Well, that alone builds a no fact. That could shave 5 years off of my learning curve there, so to speak, my learning curve, metaphorically speaking, for building a relationship with the audience. The like factor. Do people align with what you're saying? Are people nodding their head when you're saying what you're saying? Is it making sense to them? Do they get it? That's the like factor. And then the trust part. Can we trust you? What's a good way to get trust with people very quickly? These days, it's a 2-word phrase. It's called social proof. Can you prove to them that you've helped other people who look like them, sound like them, or in the same predicament as them? These are usually in the forms of testimonials and case studies that on any web page where somebody's selling something, usually you see testimonials and case studies. You see a picture with a smiling face and a person has their little quote and say whatever they say great about whatever's being sold and has their name, and that's it. Excuse me. Or you'll see videos, or you'll see screenshots to like Trustpilot or Google or Facebook reviews, which is what? That's a form of showing you why you can trust this individual. That's what it is. So when I put my first product out, I've been giving value to those people and asking for nothing in exchange for so long. And when I finally did ask for something in exchange, it was a no-brainer for my audience. And it's not like I was asking them to just, hey, give me money because I've been giving you free videos. It was, buy this program. It will help you even further. I'm already helping you. Let me help you even more. Just get this program. And they said, that's a no-brainer. That was easy. And this is not necessarily because these people felt like they owed me something. Again, it's because I had a dialed-in offer that gave my audience exactly what they needed and solved the exact problem that I knew they had and that they knew they had. And the reason I knew so much about my audience is because I've been serving them for free for 5 years. Everybody understand where I'm coming from here? And again, this is not to say you had to do this for 5 years for free before you can make money. It's just that you need to figure out a way, how can I shorten that learning curve? And Work When You Game University, I teach you exactly how to do this. So if I was trying to get into a new audience today, I'm not putting out content for 5 years for free before I start trying to make a profit. I'm trying to make a profit this week. And there are ways to do that. I'm just helping you all understand what I was doing. This is something you can be doing in an ongoing way. Notice, I sell things to this day, but I still put out the show for free. Not like I stopped doing the free stuff just because I had paid stuff. Everybody following what I'm saying here? So I wasn't guessing as to what to sell to my audience. They already had told me. I knew what they wanted because I would always read their messages. I replied to every comment. I replied to emails. I replied to DMs. I replied to text messages. I still do to this day. I still do these things. So, and these people didn't have to question if they could trust me or if I knew what their problem was, because they already knew the answers to both of those questions. So you see how all these pieces fit together like a puzzle. It also didn't hurt that I was my avatar. Avatar is just a fancy word that we use in the marketing world to identify your target customer. I was my avatar just 10 years later. When I started putting content online, I was serving people who were me. They were just 10 years younger than me. I knew what I needed when I was 14 trying to learn basketball and there was nobody to teach me. The difference between me and them is that they could go to YouTube and get help. I couldn't go to YouTube. So I just took everything I wish somebody had taught me and I taught them. So I knew exactly who I was talking to. And it was a very dialed in audience. And if physical bodies didn't get old and not have the ability to do things like we do in professional sports, the way that it happens in professional sport, careers didn't expire in 10 years like they do, I would still be serving basketball players to this day because it was a very dialed in audience. I would never have had any need or desire to diversify into talking to people like y'all who never picked up a basketball. But because things are what they are, here we are. And that's tongue in cheek, but I'm also telling you the truth. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is the most important time in a thought leader's business. Number 3, even after you are making money, you need to keep doing this. I just told you that. Even after you're making money, you still need to be giving people free value and asking for nothing in exchange. You need to keep dealing with your audience, give them value, respond to their challenges and questions, because they are telling you what the next thing is that they will need after the last thing that you just gave them. They're telling you every single day, here's the next thing that you need. You just gave me that. Here's the next thing you need. Here's the next thing I need, Dre. Here's the next thing. Here's what I'm working on right now. Here's my challenge. Here's my problem. You know I have a text message community. You know the reason why I respond to people's text messages and I read those messages? Not just out of the kindness of my heart, because that takes time. And kindness, that time is a cost. All right, and time matters a lot in the business that I'm in. One of the reasons I have a text community, one of the reasons I respond to comments on YouTube, one of the reasons I go back and forth with people on Twitter who don't even have a real name or face on their profile. I respond to comments on Instagram and DMs. The reason I do these things is because these people who are responding to me are my potential clients and customers. And when they're reaching out to me, they're telling me exactly what they need, which is market research. That's what it is. It's my market, people who are interested in me in some way, telling me what they think and where they're at. Even when they disagree with me, they're telling me what they think and where they're at. All of it is valuable to me because I'm paying attention. As long as you're paying attention and actively listening, staying engaged, you will know exactly what your audience needs next. Now, you got to choose who your audience is. It may not be every single person who responds to you. You got to know who your target audience is and who you want to serve. But they're telling you what they need if you listen. The challenge with this for some of you is that you are talking to too many different people who have disparate needs and challenges. Therefore, you are confused as to what you should do next. Like, for example, on YouTube, I still get people to this day who comment and say, well, Dre, I like when you used to make basketball videos. Well, I understand they can still like it if they want to. And I always respond to them the same way. Basketball videos still there. I got 5,000 basketball videos on YouTube. What do you mean you when I used to? They still there. I just ain't making no new ones. But the old one's still there. I guarantee you didn't watch them all. And the ones you did watch, just watch them again. All right, so I understand who my target audience is today. It's not the same as it was then. So I know what messages to take to heart, which ones I can absorb and appreciate, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go do something about them. You got to know who your target client is. Who's your target audience right now? If you could pick just one customer, one person out of all your audience, who's your ideal person? You need to know. If you only had 1,000 customers and they were all the same as one person, who would be the one person that you picked? What product, service, or offer would you stick with if you only had one product, service, or offer? You only had one funnel, what would it be? This is where your focus should be. Everything else needs to support and grow out of that thing, or it needs to go away. If it can't support and grow out of that main thing, then it shouldn't be there. This level of focus that I'm describing is what many of you entrepreneurs don't have. It's the reason why many entrepreneurs can work really hard yet never get close to achieving their goals, simply because you have not focused. You are dissipating your power. You're spreading it too thin. You focus it all in one place. You focus the sun's rays on a magnifying glass, you can burn a hole in the ground. But if you got the rays going all over the place, it can feel nice and warm outside. But I mean, in the wintertime, like some of you who are listening to this right now, it's fall season where you live and the sun is out, right? You look outside, you can see the sun, right? But it's still kind of chilly outside, right? It's a little fall weather. It's a little crispy out there. So the sun is out, but it ain't that hot, right? That's what happens with many of you. The sun is out, but it ain't that hot because the rays are not focused enough. That's why you don't feel warm even though you can see the sun. The sun's pretty strong, last that I checked. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is the most important time for a thought leader's business. Number one is when you're giving value but selling nothing. That's what I did for the first 5 years I was in business. And I wasn't even in business. 5 years I was on the internet. Business didn't come until later. Again, not to say you had to take 5 years. Number two, this is where you build the know, like, trust factor that makes selling easy. Selling should be as simple as people coming to you and just wanting to know how much does it cost and can I afford to pay for it. Those are the only questions they should really be asking. People shouldn't be asking questions about whether they can trust you, whether they know you, whether they align with you, or if you can help them. They should already know that based on the free stuff you're putting out. That should answer all of those questions based on the free stuff you put out every single day. Number three, even after you're making money, you need to keep doing this. You need to keep giving people value for free. It gives you market research. It keeps you plugged into your audience, and keeping in mind that not everybody in your audience is a buyer, but they could become one at some point in the future. Even those who have bought from you in the past are still going to consume your free stuff. People I buy from, that I pay money to, I still consume their free stuff, even after I paid them money for the paid stuff, because the free stuff is still good too. So you got to stay in touch with your audience even after you get into this game. This is part of the game when you're in the thought leadership world. At least as of this recording, this is the way that it works. I'm not saying you're going to be stuck doing this forever, because you can systematize your business in many ways. But This is part of the game. This is how you build the know, like, trust factor. And with social media being as prominent as it is and the way that people use it, this is part of the equation, like it or not. So all that said, folks, make sure you text me so you're in my text community. You will be getting value from me. I'm be getting value from you as well. So text me at my number 305-384-6894. Whenever I send out my text messages, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is our high level training programs, courses. That is the only place that I do any coaching. You want to be coached by me, you must go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can get on a free call with me or somebody on our team. We'll talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how we could possibly work with you if we see a fit there and we see a way that we could help you. That is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all